Enjoy the reunion with your old friend.
The Kennedy Report, Chapter 7.
Wonderful!
Couldn't go much longer without changing scenery. I escaped the confines of the Sephora, thanks to Special Agent Hattadong, who took me to an island off the coast of it. Hatta said this was a Sephora, unsurprisingly, owned island that used it to mine special resources from the ocean and beyond. The reasoning behind this is to make fossil fuels and other rare resources much more rare. And of course there would be a vie for power over these resources, instead of the world trying to find better resources to use instead, to avoid potential economic crisis and bloodshed. After being dropped off,
Women.
I'm contacted by the religious leader.
I hate to break it out to you, but Salazar's dead.
Yes, it seems that way.
Unfortunately, I don't have much time to ponder that, as the miners that were on Sephora's confines returned here en masse, armed to the teeth. Apparently, these factories also produce weapons and firearms. I struggle and pull through and eventually find exactly where Ashleigh is. However, she's still my only witness to this tale apart from Hatta, and something tells me she'd want to stay out of the spotlight. I run into another experimental product by Sephora and their company offshoots. It seems that their plans range both from capital and consumers to domestic themselves, with their new experiment being a nanny that would be eventually in control of the family itself. An unstoppable one at that, as it has high regenerative properties. I eventually meet up with Ashleigh, and we plot our escape. Apparently Ashleigh was forklift certified, and she drives a whole-ass bulldozer down a very, very long winding path. For the first time, I'm almost proud of her, until she crashes. We're weak, but uninjured, and we come across the religious leader, who says he has someone higher up to take us to. It's at that point things become just a little clearer, as both Ashleigh and I have adverse effects to the phrasing he just made. Both of us are impregnated with a Karen sight, and Ashleigh is swiftly taken by the religious leader for reasons unknown. This guy gets more and more suspicious by the minute. I go to catch up with her and meet a new foe, who was featured in my vision not long ago. Jackstrap, who seemed to be a US agent like myself, was actually working for Sephora. Or at least, he planned to double-cross them. This meant one thing and one thing only. My suspicions about the religious leader were true, and he was not only the leader of the church, but Sephora's CEO, and thus Ashleigh's father. My suspicions are confirmed, and another enemy, the head of the IT department, comes down to see if he can lock me in some sort of technological back and forth, where he would promise to help me, but then never actually get around to it. Unfortunately, with no bullets and a few swipes of my knife, I am able to send him back to his parents' basement. I take a whiff of fresh air and realize that this is far from over.
Oh, enjoy the fun.
It was time for the easiest and second most fun of the game. My fight with Jackstrap. I approached the arena and was greeted by a shirtless blonde man. Now I think the scars suited him, but people will never see their strengths if they're convinced they have flaws. If I was to move forward, I needed 3 keys, one of which he had. He picked up a gun and fired. I ran like crazy, not getting hit once, and activated the electronic time door that is somehow locked in ancient ruins? Okay. He pursued me, and I used all of my government tactics to evade. First, I'd climb a ladder, while he struck from below. Then he'd jump up to me, and I'd make a dramatic, calculated jump down to the first floor. He'd come after me, sure, until I overcame his strength by climbing back up before he landed a hit. And get this, when he came up to get me, I'd jump right back down. And I repeated this until the door opened and I could progress. Cool thing about fighting this way? He'll never pop out with his weapons if you didn't get him to flash you prior. So it was a straight, unguarded path to the first key. Here is an unavoidable fight, however, and after laying some smack talk as heterosexual as Top Gun...
Don't just stand there. Come out and fight like a man.
I'm not falling for that one.
Just trying to have fun.
I dodged 2 grenades. Some light knife play, and unloaded once in his face, causing him to flash me and prepare for round 2. I slipped into the building for the first aid spray, before just running past Jack, and moving into the drone area. I went through this several times to conserve ammo or find more. Sneaking past didn't work, killing the drones did nothing but waste ammo, and I was running low. Until a miracle happened. I restarted, jumped down, shot the drones, and both of them had 5 hand cannon ammo. Both. I did a double take and felt that this was the run. I killed a drone later, and it even gave me 5 more. I had 15 bullets from an area I could have passed already, and this ammo would be my saving grace. It was time. I picked up the second piece and knew the last one was inside that man's pants. He threw away his gun and was ready for me. He told me that while he was alone, he gained supreme power. He made it entirely through No Nut November. And as soon as he tried to start making up for it, his human arm ceased to exist, and he became part angel. To attain full heavenly status, he needed the makeup to fix his blemishes, because you can only be loved by God if you fit his exact ideal, which ever changes in the eyes of his supporters. It was too late. He had fallen far from true grace, and his obsession over what he deemed unattractive and deficient of merit became his downfall. You can't reason with someone who can't see good in themselves. I took out the Magnum and used its remaining ammo on him so I can upgrade it later. The fight was over in seconds, and after some damage, the rush he felt using his hand so aggressively after refusing to use it for a month caused him to suffer a heart attack right there, and ending his suffering before he could be saved. It was unfortunate, but inevitable. I took his key and exited the area, a fate worse than his waiting for me on the other side. Yes, the helicopter scene, aka the worst scene on Professional. So get this. In order to support and extract high-priority targets, they send a fully armed attack helicopter with millions of dollars of ordnance ready to take me home. And here's what it does. It knocks over a water tower, killing one guy, and then shoots up a bunch of people, allowing me to move forward to an extraction zone. Okay, that makes sense, I guess. That's what you're here for. Except, when you get into gameplay, fuck-ass Mike sits there in the sky and does not do a single thing. Does not give a single shit about any enemy for the whole segment. Meaning none of the biological warfare enemies using military-grade Gatling guns and turrets will be seen as a threat because the guy with a handgun and no tactical vest got it. I'm sorry. This just has to be an unfixed bug. This cannot have been a serious decision to turn the only cooperative gameplay since the cabin with Louise into a solo section. I'd rather just Mike not show up, and I'd get a secret boss battle, maybe? Anyway, I did Google some things, and nobody said anything useful except that the only contribution Mike will do in this whole segment is kill the first Gatling gun. So I wait. I wait a while. And eventually that's true. He does do that. But he won't kill the battalions of angry boys with a grudge against the only living pretty boy on the island. This half wasn't as much of a mess, but it was still irritating. I make it past all the enemies after a couple tries, and then quickly run for the level to trigger a checkpoint to one of the worst areas of the game. Just as I hit it, I get killed by a turret, literally unable to be killed by me without, I don't know, maybe a helicopter whose job it is to ensure my safety. Thankfully, the checkpoint is hit as soon as the gate lever is hit. So I reload, and everything despawns. It's beautiful. I run around and pick up every bit of loot possible. Herbs, ammo. Well, I get only herbs, and then I save on the typewriter so I don't have to pick up my loot again when I lose. Without fanfare, I progress to the triple turret section. This place sucks. I learned in my previous round how to snipe all three guys from cover, but that was with a rifle. I actually find ammo. It's a miracle, so I kill as many enemies as I can and wait for a long time to see if Mike will do anything. Anything at all. He doesn't. He shoots at nothing, it seems. I try and shoot the turrets myself, and it doesn't work. Not wanting to waste the ammo, I reset, and boy, that was a fucking mistake. For one, didn't grab all the loot until after saving, which would be fine, except now my checkpoint is all the way back at the typewriter. That's okay, I'll just run, no big deal, there's no enemies, right? Wrong. Because the guy on the turret up at the top was alive again, and he was going to stay that way, because Mike doesn't kill him at all, despite him being despawned after the checkpoint. I even waited to see if he'd do anything, but no. I just booked it, and was okay, but God, was this irritating. It was several more tries and more wasted ammo before I developed the winning strategy. Just run for it. These turret guys are idiots. So I just ran in between bursts, taking damage just to press the levers, and for some reason the top two turrets just stopped caring about me. But not the bottom one, the only one I can't evade. So I pulled both levers and decided to knife the guy out of anger, and immediately pay for it when this random guy fucked my shit up and got out without even getting the first aid spray from the gunner. Whenever I left, I decided to turn around to see if I could get any loot. And you want to know the funniest thing? When you return, all the turrets vanish without a trace. As if, I don't know, something was meant to destroy them for you. Enemies still spawn, but no loot was to be had. So I just reset and go. I didn't even watch the cutscene where Mike dies, because not even that would make me happy anymore. I left the area and was approached by Hada again, who had the audacity to tell me what to do. So I choked the life out of her. She isn't doing her job. Maybe her manager will sympathize. My complaints aren't unreasonable, are they? Are they? I stop. Oh God. It's happening. The Karen side is taking control. If Hada hadn't knocked me out of it, there's no telling what would have happened. I apologize and tell her that Ashleigh might be going through the same thing, and I needed to find her. And Hada and I go our separate ways again. And this begins what might actually be the worst part of the challenge. It honestly didn't matter how much ammo I used here. but I only had one healing item left. I decided to dart through and trigger the horde to get them all together and get kills. Except most of them had head plagas, and weren't killable without a second hit, and all the red barrels didn't help because they weren't insta-kills either. I was at this repeatedly for a bit, even making my way to a corner to funnel them through, and no health at all in the process. I trudged along, amazed by my scheme. It was going well. And just a reminder, I had no herbs. No herbs. I had no herbs. This run came to an end when a crossboy hit me through the goddamn wall as soon as I killed the BBC. I wasn't that pissed until I saw I could have healed the whole time. This goes on for some time and I say fuck it and use some flash grenades on the head plagas. Except they didn't fucking work either. 2 occasions did I throw a flash grenade directly at multiple head plagas and not a single one of them died. I was absolutely losing my shit. Don't worry, they socked it to me real good anytime I tried to use my knife or my flash. But that's okay, I was doing good. I holed up in a little cabin above and could get the buttons when I cleared the area. The big guy walked towards me, so I let loose the bullet of destiny. And I had to start the whole segment again. I literally screamed when this happened. Just remembering it makes me feel woozy. But anyway, I did it again and I won and I moved on, blah blah blah. I go through the doors into a large chamber. Daddy Sephora awaits me inside and goads me into submitting with the process of a haircut even more sideswept than my current one. Ashleigh was put into a chamber with unknown purpose. I struggled to stay standing, but Hada had my back. She pumped Sephora full of lead, giving me the ability to save Ashleigh and taking off before he caught up. I quickly find a chamber behind this one. It was Luis's laboratory, where he had a machine for extracting our embryonic issues. Guess he needed this in case he accidentally made any heirs of his own. Ashleigh calmly helps me onto the machine and starts it. The pain is excruciating, but I slowly feel the need to talk to a manager lessening until it is no more. Ashleigh is grateful for my survival and is ready to move on, but I tell her it's her turn. Ashleigh is confused, and when I point out her own little Karen, she drops a bombshell. Her baby was faked. A setup by her and her father to pin this whole incident on the actions of Ash. She said Ash was an easy target because his story can easily be spun to making him seem evil because of his disabilities. I was appalled by this and by her, but I would save her instead and make her family pay. Regardless, she gets on the machine and is afraid when it detects a plaga in her as well. It wasn't supposed to be there. She was going to play victim, not be the victim. The machine did its dirty work and removed the Karen sight. Ashleigh couldn't speak. She had realized that in the end, her father was only looking out for himself and the company, and everyone but him had been a pawn. Even her. I helped her up. It was time to move on. It was obvious that Ashleigh's hands weren't clean like originally presented, but she was just as much of a victim as her brother. At least she could be saved.